Hey friends, happy Tuesday, the 29th of November. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll give you a reflection on the daily readings. The readings are linked either on the sidebar or in the show notes. Click the link, read the readings prayerfully, and spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Thank you for your traveling prayers for me and my folks last week. We traveled down to Louisiana. I flew back on Friday. Everything worked as well as a long trip like that could happen. So it was great. Thank you for your prayers. Please notice that we do have Advent behind us. You can tell that I'm shooting this after the first Sunday of Advent. We have moved into that time, right? Okay, I will give you a reflection. We're working on Tuesday of this first week of Advent. As a sidebar, I found out that the reason why I couldn't find the link between the two readings yesterday is because that first reading was an alternate reading. So what I'm going to tell you about the lectionary for this Advent journey is that the readings are paired. Always when you're working on the daily readings in Advent, Christmas, Lent, Easter, ask the question, why are these put together? Is it promise and fulfillment, or is there a theme? That's always what we want to ask in the readings. And today we have promise and fulfillment. But oftentimes, especially in Advent, you're going to notice I focus a lot on promise, on the words of the prophets, because I do find those to be incredibly rich and really good places for us to pray. So we're working on Isaiah, and then I think Matthew in the fulfillment. Nope, got that wrong. Luke. So a famous prophecy of Isaiah about the future king, the shoot that shall sprout from the stump of Jesse. And so you can imagine that the line of the kings has been cut off. There's not a lot that's more dead than a stump, right? There's not going to be anything that grows from that. But then a shoot sprouts that speaks of new life and rebirth. And the Spirit of the Lord will be upon the king. And remember, so much of the history of the Old Testament is the people that are really bummed out because the kings lead them poorly and improperly. They're doing their own things. And they dream of that day when God's Spirit will be with the king, with the leadership. And so Isaiah speaks of the way that God's Spirit is going to fill the king. And these become the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit that we hold are given to us in baptism and confirmation in Jesus Christ. And then the second paragraph is especially about the day of the Lord. The lion shall lay down with the kid. The calf and the lion shall eat grass and graze together. And it's going to be the little child that's tugging the lion along. It's just powerful images of reversal and harmony and right relationship. I don't know that necessarily I need to give a lot of direction, but to just imagine what that might look like. And then to imagine maybe some of our own fraught, difficult, challenging relationships. Or maybe it's not us. Maybe it's the stuff that we hear about in the news. And to dream about the day of the Lord when all of God's creatures will gather and will play nice with each other and will allow each other to be in the fullness of that relationship. That's part of the dreaming in the Spirit that Isaiah is inviting us to. You might want to pray the psalm response. Speaking of justice, God who sides with the poor and decides aright for the lands afflicted, and God who brings goodness in the day of the Lord. It's easy to be focused on what's owed to us, our rights, but justice, fairness, right relationship and harmony in all things, to dream of God's justice rolling down from the mountains, and to pray that God would bring that. Not a bad thing. The gospel is chosen because in the first reading, we have the promise of the Spirit resting on the king. And now we hear about the king, that Jesus rejoiced in the power of the Holy Spirit, and he gave praise to God for all of God's goodness. And so, of course, we hold Jesus as, King of the universe, as we celebrated a week ago, but also king in the line of David through his foster father, Joseph. And so Jesus is alive in the power of the Holy Spirit. What's the Spirit doing inside of you today to fill you with life and animation, right? This is the breath of Christ. This is the life of Jesus that's been given to us as well in faith, in the sacraments, like in baptism. This is the very inner life of God that is shared with us. Maybe we just spend a little bit of time prayerfully reflecting that it's not just us slogging through the days, but that indeed it is God's Holy Spirit that gives us life and light, and ask that Spirit to help direct and guide us, even in the very mundane, regular things that we have to do this day. All right, friends, read those readings prayerfully and turn off the screen, spend some time with God. God bless you all.